This is the Slots and Sockets podcast, episode number 99, almost to triple digits. I am one of your hosts, Eerily, and my partner in crime,
Turbo Penguinator.
Happy Monday, Turbo. How you doing, bud?
Been busy. Been working on some car projects, working on some, doing some games. Just been busy,
Good. Yeah, same here. I mean, like last week, of course, we didn't have a show because I had some health issues. So, nothing major. Just didn't work out to record last week with things going
Moose's hair fell out, if you haven't noticed. Oh, wait, no, never mind.
That happened like 2 decades ago.
I know.
So,
we have a non-hairy moose.
So,
he's not fuzzy anymore.
Fuzzy discussions aside. Oh man, you can tell it's been a while since we've had a show. We're goofing off a little bit, but yeah, we got some fun stories to cover.
We got a lot of things to catch up on.
Yeah, true. Actually, and big one.
Let's start backwards. Let's kind of go the further back.
Sure,
if you don't mind. And this, I'm sure this has been talked about, but Nvidia kind of releases a driver at the end of February that runs into March, and they release like 4 drivers in 7 days, trying to hot fix problems. And apparently, if you overclocked your graphics card, it would unoverclock and then also stop spinning your fans.
Yeah, that sounds like a great recipe for success. Who needs fans spinning, right?
Fans are, I guess so. And so there were 4 different versions that were finally, that finally kind of came through, and they finally got it sorted off. But again, so AI, Nvidia must be calling it in. I'm assuming that they, at this point, the only thing I can think of is that they've fired their driver team and replaced them with OpenAI.
They must have, because I'm sure they have a few flesh employees actually managing the driver stuff, but the way things are behaving, the vast majority of this work seems to be getting processed through AI. And, this kind of ties directly into the title of this episode, but, the problem is that
AI sucks.
No, it doesn't. That's the problem. AI is great, but everybody misuses it. And I think that's going to be the big theme of this show, because we do want to talk about that more in depth later. But, NVIDIA's been on the struggle bus with drivers a lot lately. So is anyone really surprised that they've had 4 drivers in 7 days that still don't work from what I'm seeing? It's kind of dumb, and
no, it is dumb. It's not kind of dumb. It is dumb.
Yeah, fair. But that's the thing. I think, to be honest, they're not investing in the consumer GPUs. They're not investing in the drivers for us, because Enterprise doesn't use these drivers. Enterprise has their own entire driver stack. And, even though the fundamental hardware is largely similar, because it's the same basic architecture, they're getting the flesh employees, and we're getting the AI slop. And it's showing. And the problem is that, from some of the reports I've seen, NVIDIA is continuing to get rewarded for it, because I've seen a couple reports that showed AMD's market share dropped. They're down to like 5% of new card sales or something like that. I think
there's a good reason for some of that.
Sure.
AMD is not doing any service here.
No.
By completely forgetting about the 6000 and 7000 series. We're still waiting on AMD to actually release the FSR 4 for the 6000 and 7000 cards.
Yeah. And that actually leads into our next story, which is literally that.
So Why? I mean, so here's the problem. We're in the predicament. Intel doesn't exist as far as graphics. They suck, and apparently they're going to get absolved. So you wouldn't dare buy something there.
Yeah,
You can buy an Nvidia card that, after the sixth or seventh driver, maybe you'll get one that won't fry your card.
right.
Um, and then you can go at AMD and within 9 months be completely forgotten, outdated, and no more driver support. I
Yeah.
am absolutely just so surprised and a little hacked off, to be honest. And as an AMD user, that my old 6800, 6900, 6950, all of which I owned, um, all of those old um, are dead.
Hmm.
Like no more driver updates.
Yeah.
So I had a 7900 XTX, I had a 7900 XT.
Yep.
You know, all I can tell you is that I really wanted a Radeon to succeed, but it really, really makes me think twice when I don't get driver support long enough for me to actually use it. Because the honest truth is that FSR4 is a technology that should absolutely be on the 6000, 7000 series,
Hmm.
and there's no reason it isn't, other than I think AMD is just besides themselves being stupid.
Well, yeah,
And
it's the same thing, same reason Nvidia is sending us AI slop drivers. It's because that's not where they're making the majority of their money, so they don't care. Uh,
maybe Nvidia is using Microslop
maybe.
AI.
I mean, they could be using Copilot. A lot of companies do.
Microslop Copilot to
Hmm.
to generate the code.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
Well, I mean, it kind of
A
works out.
Microslop using AMD GPUs to make Nvidia slop. It's just slop.
Sure, slopping all over the place.
Let's just add some more slop. That's what this AI slop. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yep.
Hmm. But you know, why do you sell fewer cards? I'm sorry. When gamers feel like they're gonna get shortchanged on support
Sure.
and services, and don't feel like they're being at least taken care of, this is what happens. And AMD, shame on you. In all
Yeah.
honesty, shame on you for not providing, because this is the second time. You're not going to get FSR4, even though you said you would. We
Yep.
still don't have it. We're working on it. Nope, nope, it's just nothing.
Yeah.
And then, you sit there and say, well, you're in maintenance. Great. That makes
Thanks.
everyone feel warmer.
Yeah.
Whoever is running the driver side and the PR side of Radeon should be fired. I don't know
Yeah.
who it is, but you should be absolutely fired. And someone should come and be like, okay, we're going to stop doing dumb things, and we're going to treat our customers as customers, because we realize if we treat them like crap, which is what they're doing, then oh yeah, they won't buy anything from us.
Well, that's the thing is like, the choices now are basically
Garbage.
do you get AMD where your card's going to be potentially abandoned inside of a year? Or do you go with Nvidia where they give you slop drivers that cook your card and maybe you get one that's stable in the couple of years that you have your graphics card? I like,
Garbage.
what do we do? What the frick do we do? I mean, how the hell are console manufacturers working around this? Because I mean, they've got to be getting something similar in terms of
I,
crap driver quality. I mean, at the very
maybe
least, they're getting spec drivers.
maybe this is a way for them to sit there and say we don't want to have PC gamers and pushing people into consoles because consoles will suck less than PCs. I don't know, but it's you know it's very surprising that we talk about more software related problems than anything else, and the AI is supposed to be the solution, and it's obviously not.
Mhm.
Um,
It is a
and
solution, just not the way they're using it.
look, at this point, I think it's really clear.
Yeah.
Um, what's happened in the past, is the problem.
Yeah.
And um, Nvidia drivers have sucked, and Radeon's service, and I would say purely service, because their drivers are actually pretty good. Why is the fact that they're not going to service their cards?
I mean, yeah, the drivers on the AMD side are actually quite good, and also if you want to start playing with AI, um, AMD made a really straightforward installation package to get a whole bunch of stuff running on your 7000 series and 9000 series AMD GPUs. I've been playing with Comfy UI and a few other things that until a couple months ago, I flat out couldn't run on my AMD GPU, and they run beautifully. I'm playing with image generation. I'm just starting to get into video generation and stuff like that, and it's great. It's fun to play with, but you know, when you look at what they've done with the 6000 series, which I sent over to my friend up in Medicine Hat, um, yeah, I'm probably not going to buy an AMD again. I'm
I
not
mean,
saying I'm guaranteed not to. I'm not saying I'm going to Nvidia or Intel, but
I'm I'm gonna
yeah,
I'm gonna think about it. I mean,
yeah,
I'll say this. What's interesting is that I can get it as 6800 XT on my local Facebook marketplace for $250.
wow, that's
Now,
that's that's cheap.
now a 6950 XT you can get for um $400.
That's pretty reasonable for that card's performance class. I mean,
7900 XTXs. Now, I thought these would have gone maybe a little bit higher. You can get those for like 700. Now, that seems a little on the high side, but no, given that you have the 24 gigs of VRAM, that may be appealing to some people.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. If you want to run large language models, if you want to do large image generations, talking like 2K by 2K or even up to 4K quality images, you need that VRAM to do that. Of course, on top of it, you also need a significant amount of system RAM because the system has to swap between system and GPU memory. But you know, it, if that's what you're into, then yeah, those cards are pretty solid for it. Um, but yeah, it's a problem, man. Like everybody's beating up on the consumers, and it just sucks that we were the ones that literally funded them to get to this position, and then they're just like, see ya.
well, and I think the problem is that when the AI bubble pops, they're going to come crawling back to consumers and be like, "Oh my gosh, it's so nice to be working with consumers again." Yeah, bull crap,
Yeah.
absolute horse crap.
You know what my response is? Sit and spin.
Well,
So,
it's
I mean, it's the problem is that both AMD and Nvidia have burned us. Intel is a steaming pile of garbage. That honestly, this is a great time for another company, maybe from China, maybe more threads, to start actually making some serious moves. And, as much as I'm loath to suggest that, we actually need some competition because I have a sneaking suspicion after watching Gamers Nexus recent video this weekend, um, we're repeating history or at least rhyming with it because this AI bubble that we're in feels a lot like the memory price fixing game that they played 20 years ago. Um, I don't know that it is. I don't have any evidence that it is, but it smells a heck of a lot like it to me. And honestly,
well,
when
it's
the bubble
also
pops,
well, it's interesting though, is that they even come in and be like, "Yeah, we bought all this hardware, but we don't have power for it."
yeah,
Then why are you buying more hardware? You can't tell me you're like, "Yes, I bought hardware, put it in a room and not use it because I might in the future have power." But
yeah.
nothing's going to change. It's going to make that stuff absolutely useful.
Yeah, and
That's it's like so great. So that tells me that it is a lie when you sit there and are like, oh yeah, totally. It's because of AI.
yeah.
I don't think AI is buying as much as they report.
Oh, I think what's happening, my suspicion is they said, "Oh, okay, well, we have X capacity. We'll just say that's all of our capacity." Because that's not what they did the first time. Not at all. Oh, wait. And moving on.
Moving on. Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of making things crap, California is getting their fingers into your operating system. Isn't that wonderful?
No,
Mm, yeah, that was sarcasm turbo.
it was. It very much was.
Yeah,
Um,
the thing is like, California has a law that's going into effect on January 1st of 2027. There's a whole bunch of laws that are gonna make life suck in this state, which is part of the reason I'm working on moving. But, this one is gonna impact everybody around the globe because as of January 1st, 2027, if your operating system does not dox you and require you to provide your age, which we don't know what they're doing with that information, mind you, um, you won't be able to even open a text file. You have to prove you're an adult to use your computer. How moronic is that?
so the question is then, are you going to have people who will go back and start like developing Windows 7
Yeah, I think so.
and being like, hey, you could just run Windows 7 and we're going to, because right now you have a lot of services out there that strip out unused and unneeded features in Windows 11 to
Mhm.
debloat it, to remove a lot of the crap and the monitoring and all of that.
Yeah.
All good in my opinion.
Yep.
Um, but are you going to have people who look at this and be like, you know what? If we just go back to Windows 7 when gaming was not garbage and we make it feel like, I think it's Windows 11. So all those features like DirectX 11 and 12 work. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah. Or, an open source community comes along and decides, all right, well, we're just not going to play their game. We don't exist in their jurisdiction, so they can't do anything to us. So, no, we're not putting your age gate in. Um, I would switch to an OS like that pretty quick. I'm not going to dox myself to my computer because it's my computer, and nobody has any right knowing how old I am when I use my computer.
Yeah,
Microsoft has had this war on local accounts for the longest time, to the point where if you don't even have an internet connection, but you want to use a computer, you can't sign into your computer the first time. There are a lot of hoops you have to jump through with the current builds of Windows 11 to get a local account to work because they fight you tooth and nail. Which, again, it's
they do.
Microslop. They're slopping all over you. They behave as if it's their computer because you own nothing and you'll like it. And this crap needs to stop. It really seriously needs to end. Um, I'm sick and tired of all of this crap that they're pulling to stop us from being able to repair our vehicles, from stopping us from being able to repair our devices. It's terrible for the environment. It's terrible for our wallet, especially now as costs are going through the roof on virtually everything. And it's unconscionable. I'm sorry, but you know, I was looking at stuff that my dad had. I've been because we've been working on packing things and putting things away. Um, it's crazy how many of those old devices came with a full set of schematics in the device that you could use to troubleshoot and fix it. Um, or, later on, all the way up to the 80s where you could just get a full schematic of a television set and repair it if you wanted to. Because a lot of times those things didn't need repair, but when they did, it was infinitely cheaper than buying a new one. Because you're talking a couple dollars for a diode, few bucks for a part here or there. And, you know, eh, what's happened is we've lost control as consumers. We've been taken out of the driver's seat and we've been told this is what you get.
See, my concern is what I am really, really worried about, um, with everything that's going on, is that this computer as a service is going to kick off,
Mhm.
and that consumers in any way, shape, or form are going to be like, yes, just give me a thin little thing that connects, and you guys take care of all of my computing and graphical needs.
And it's in the cloud,
It's in the
aka
cloud.
somebody else's computer.
Exactly. And so you're going to pay to rent a computer.
Yeah, I think that's
I am,
probably the way it's going to be.
I, and the problem is you're going to be, it's almost like you're forced. If you want current titles, you're either going to pay stupid amounts of money, or you can pay us $30 a month to play as many video games as you want.
Mhm.
And unless you use too many hours, and then Nvidia will be like, no, it's too many hours. It's not as
Right.
really as many as you want. It's as many as we want you to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah,
But
you
that's,
can play all you want, but up to 30 hours.
you know, but you
Right.
think about this for a second, in all honesty, the RAM collusion, okay, GPUs, not, the GPU prices going back up.
Mhm.
If this all, if you've got increased GPU pricing and RAM pricing, it's almost like it's going to cost as much as a car to freaking buy a computer.
5090 costs more than some cars you can get on Facebook Marketplace right now.
I mean,
I mean, that's freaking ridiculous. Even
it is.
used, they cost that much. And that's the problem, I think, is um, they're trying to drive us out of owning our own devices, and they're pushing us into this
Well,
mainframe style architecture.
this is the scary thing with what AMD is doing.
Mhm.
The question is you sit there and say, hey, should I go buy, a 6800 XT? You know, me, I would have, before been like, yeah, sure, absolutely, great
Mhm.
card. Still today, super valuable.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would necessarily do that again.
No.
I don't
I
know.
yeah.
I mean, if you want a budget, you know, graphics card, I don't know. I don't know what I would tell somebody. I'd have to really get there and look,
Yeah.
because you know,
Well, it's all gonna depend on what their use case is and all that and their budget, because most people are still going in. In a couple groups I'm in, most people I talk to are coming to me with, "Well, okay, I wanna upgrade my system. What do I need?" It's like, "Okay, well, you need a new power supply, you need some memory, and you need a GPU. Your CPU is fine, but the rest of it is just old and could probably use an upgrade." And, you go start looking at it and you're talking about spending more money on the upgraded parts than you did on the whole gaming system when it was actually reasonably competent, and it sucks. And, that unless people just decide, no, this crap's over, we're not buying your GPUs, we're not buying, X, Y, and Z, and the market completely dries up because of this behavior, they're not going to change. They're going to keep pushing us. They're going to keep pushing us toward uh, cloud gaming. They're going to keep pushing us toward using online only accounts, whether you need an internet connection or not. They're going to keep pushing us toward monitoring our activities. They're going to keep pushing us toward all of this. And we do have the power as consumers to stop it, but people just need to wake up. Instead of saying, "Oh, there aren't enough people pushing back against it," just start pushing back. Stop looking at how many people are pushing back with you and just do it. Just say no.
Right.
So, yeah, but kind of moving on to our last topic that yeah, AI isn't the problem here. AI is a tool. Tools generally aren't problems. The problem is the tool that's using it. And in this case, you know, with the Nvidia drivers, with Microslop, with all these broken Windows 11 updates that have shipped, like how many news reports have we seen recently of Microslop shipping a broken Windows update for 11? And, oh, there's this major new vulnerability that they patched back in. Yeah,
I,
and it's the problem is that they're using AI for production code, and it shouldn't be. They're beta testing us, and it needs to stop. AI is great for a lot of things. Image generation, audio generation, the large language models are actually getting pretty interesting to play with, but the problem is when you ask one of these large language models to code an application, it can code an application from the ground up, but you should be using it to develop the spec for the application, not the application itself. Because once you run into bugs, half the time the AI can't fix it, or if it does fix the bug, it creates 20 new other ones. Not to say human developers don't do the same thing, but at least with human developers, you have validation instead of just assuming, "Oh, the AI is perfect."
well, with real software developers, you actually have somebody that you can look
Mhm.
to actually fix your problem.
Yeah,
And with AI, because you ask the question, they don't know. Like
yeah,
AI, like you sit there and be like, it does this. Um, AI doesn't know. And this is where there's a use case for it. But in all honesty, if you're outside of that use case, I, I don't know.
yeah. That's when it starts going off the rails. And see, the thing is like so many companies are using this to produce production code that um I'm starting to see reports of previously patched exploits becoming usable again. I wouldn't be one bit surprised if one day somebody at Microsoft commits the wrong code to the main line, and all of a sudden the blaster worm starts taking people out again. I mean, I wouldn't put it one bit past them one bit if that happens. Um, because the AI is not aware. It's just spitting out code to make stuff work, and it doesn't take into account things like security, things like um, proper sanitization of inputs and stuff like that. And it shows. You think the major outage that we had from CrowdStrike was bad. Just wait. It's gonna get fun if they keep this up. And I think they will, because they have no incentive not to. It's more profitable for them to fire all of their developers or fire the majority of their developers, keep a skeleton crew on that just runs AI prompts, and either switch those developers over to doing the big infrastructure stuff, or just can them completely and make them put the fries in the bag. Because AI is not going to put fries in your bag. yet. But again, that's coming because, I mean, there McDonald's has several restaurants that are powered completely by robots. That's not AI running things. That's just simple programs and algorithms and CNC machines doing the job that, you know, that CNC machines have done for a long time. And it I hate to be Mr. Doom and Gloom here, but it's gonna get a heck of a lot worse before it gets better. The only question is, how much worse is it gonna get?
I mean, in all honesty, I hope, um, you know, I don't know. You hope that things don't get worse, but that's just not reality.
Yep.
And I, I don't know. I don't feel like all warm and fuzzy about it because I just don't see enough change that's going to get it to actually have any difference here.
Yeah.
Um, but that's part of the challenge here is you know to understand how all of this goes in, um, and why. I mean, this is the sole reason that all of this is jumping up in cost. This is
Yeah.
100% the reason.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's the excuse. I don't think it's actually the reason. I think they're using it as an excuse to cut supply and to jack up prices just so they can profit more. Particularly the memory companies. I have a sneaking suspicion that's what they're doing.
Oh,
Um,
that's a hundred
you know,
percent what
and
they're doing. You kidding me?
and I highly recommend if you're not familiar with the history on the subject, go watch Gamers Nexus video. If I remember to, I'll put a link to it in the show in the description below. But yeah, it's a bad situation, and the proof is in our day to day lives. You get four broken Nvidia drivers inside of a week. You get all these things from Intel that just don't perform. I would bet you Intel's using AI pretty heavily to do their chip development now because they've laid off so much of their workforce that I don't know that they have a lot of actual human talent there. Um, outside of the C-suite, which I
I'm
wouldn't call C-suite talent.
the truth of the matter, okay, on a lot of this is if if you do this, you're gonna lose your competitive advantage when it comes to software.
Mhm.
And if you get it wrong, which it's clear Nvidia is getting this wrong, you're giving your competitor a chance. Now, the downside here is that AMD is doing just as bad by not actually supporting their customers.
Mhm.
That makes you really think twice about where you actually and who you're going to do business with.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, this my next graphics card that I end up doing is going to be really, really interesting because it's one of those where it's like, ah,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. And I'm in the same boat. Like I'm thinking like I don't I don't want to go to a 9070 now because, if AMD decides they're going to can my 7900 XTX, who's to say that the 9070 isn't going to be a year behind it? I mean, at this point in the 9070's life cycle, um I've got maybe a year left before AMD puts me on maintenance. And
It, it
yeah.
it actually is a really interesting view of this because, in all honesty, um, it's a very, very interesting topic of conversation because that's the challenge like that I'm looking at. Um, you look at this and say, freaking A. Why? Well, it is really going to be a challenge to figure out what my next graphics card is. And the honest
Yeah.
truth is that AMD may push me there if they really sit there and there's a good chance I have a 97. There's a good chance that I'm going to be screwed here because
Yeah.
if they go to CDNA, and they sit there and be like, anything before CDNA is obsolete.
Hmm.
If they do that to me, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's going to take me a long time to be not, thinking about that.
Yep.
Um,
Well, the
so
LHR thing is why I switched to AMD from my 1070. And, you know, I mean, maybe AMD and Nvidia are taking turns on being the bad guy, and then they just both decided, you know what, screw it, we're both going to be bad guys this time. I don't know. It sucks. And yeah, I mean, all I can say is make your voice heard, you know, just say no. That really, because reject things like this California law that's forcing you to dox yourself to your operating system, and reject Nvidia's slop drivers, reject AMD's ditching of us, of those of us who bought their graphics cards and not giving us a reasonable amount of time to do it. It's, you know, I mean, Intel's the only other option, and they're not that great. Like, they're not terrible. I know several people who have Intel Arc graphics cards, and they perform okay. Um, but for the price, I can't see it. Like, they're not price competitive. Um, their drivers have significantly improved, but
have it has it.
eh. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, if my card blew up tonight, I'd probably honestly just put the 1070 back in and go, because I'm not going to buy a new
Uh,
card.
I I have to admit I would have to think about it. I
Yeah.
would really have to think.
Now
I'd have to
maybe,
think long and hard.
yeah, I mean, maybe I'd mortgage my house and buy a 5090, but that's going to be a year away at least. So, like, it's it's got all of us in kind of a bad position, and I don't like that bombshell.
No, I don't either. Um, but the problem is that you know when you come back to it, it's like it's a challenge. It absolutely is a challenge because you sit there and be like, "Don't do that, don't do that." But you know what? What's going to end up happening is that your card dies because all of our stuff is garbage now. Things don't
Yeah.
last long,
Yep.
and and now you're sitting there saying, "Well, I want to freaking play video games." Um, and I need something, and it's like,
I mean, you got the Steam Deck. That's about, well, and the GameCube when it finally launches. But
that thing's gonna be
honestly,
dead, unfortunately.
yeah, it seems like it's gonna
I
be.
think that's going to be dead because it's going to be so expensive on memory unless people have memory sitting down. Now the bare bones, and if you could you get a good deal on memory, then
Mhm.
I think that's a really interesting thing. Because like for instance, for me, I've got Landbox that has laptop DDR5,
Mhm.
and I've got surprisingly of all things, what I have spare of is SSDs. In fact, it's right here. Yeah, SSD.
Yeah.
Um, so um, I actually could buy that and actually have a working system that you could go back and forth from.
Right.
Um, might be very interesting.
Yeah.
To see.
It's going to be very interesting because I feel like everybody's trying to push us to cloud computing and to consoles. I think you said that earlier too. It's like that's what they're pushing us to, just because it's easier for them. They can jack up the prices and then um, sell us bare minimum basic hardware. But I mean, honestly,
As a service. I
yeah,
kid you not. Like this is going to be a bigger topic of concern than people think.
yeah.
This is absolutely going to be a so bad.
I genuinely want to get back to the time where I owned my software. I don't want to subscribe to Creative Cloud. I just want to put in a thumb drive with Photoshop on it and install it and be done. Or, whatever. uh, Adobe Premiere or you name it. I don't want to deal with cloud BS. I don't want to deal with putting my crap on other people's servers. I want to be able to completely disconnect my computer whenever I want, not have it need to talk to anyone else to be able to use the software that I paid to use. And on that bombshell, I think we'll call it a show for this evening. Thank you all for giving us a little bit of your time, even though it was a bit of a downer episode on this one. And do remember to jump down the doobly-doo below, give us a like and subscribe, and leave a comment or two while you're at it. And until next time, have fun storming the castle.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.